All right, we're live now.
All right.
So let me know when you're ready, and I'll roll the intro.
All right. I'll be ready in 2 seconds. Hold on now. Oh, it's already 2 seconds.
I was
Huh?
about to say that's longer than two
I knew
seconds
you were going to
already.
say that. I already knew. I already knew.
We're pushing like 20
Do
seconds.
I not know you, Trinity, or what?
Apparently so.
7 o'clock on a Friday night. I like the new lineup.
Well, that's always different, man.
Yeah.
I can't stick to a time, man. I don't have a job, bro. So I don't have a schedule like that. I don't know no 9 to 5er.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm talking to Princess over here. He's we all gotta wait on him. He's got them old man fingers.
I'm ready.
How do I work this doohickey?
He's got a sweet hat on though.
Right. All
My
right.
grandfather used to wear one just like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start wearing Aqua Velva and Old Spice.
All right, I'm running the intro.
Shut up and sit down.
Boom, people. What's up? How you doing? I'm Street Certified Dope Doctor here with you. This is Dope and Dharma, a Friday version of Dope and Dharma, which means we're doing a We the Middle version. That's right. We the Middle.
We are.
We the Middle. That means it's a political show today. That means I don't have to be the counselor. Trini doesn't have the spiritual guru.
Again for you.
And he wore the shirt again. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I
Special request.
like it.
Yeah. That's the Dharma guy, Trinity Phillips.
What up?
We got a special guest today.
We do.
Yeah, all the way from North Carolina, Richard Coleman.
Fresh off
Thank
the
you for having
coaching
me.
mound.
Dude, I love
Yeah,
North
well,
Carolina, man.
Right now I'm sitting in the car watching the practice, but that's okay.
Yeah. I went and saw Richie Coleman, man, when I was going through North Carolina on a trip. Me and Richard went out to he treated me to some tacos.
Oh, nice.
Hey, so it's funny you mentioned that. The Mexican restaurant that we went and ate at was just nationally recognized as one of the best Mexican restaurants in the country.
Nice. Right on. Very
right
cool.
on.
So if you want quality Mexican, come to Mooresville, North Carolina.
Yeah, right. I bet you they didn't like that at all, man. All of a sudden, they lost half their kitchen staff. They said, damn, national attention. We didn't want any attention.
I walked in there on Taco Tuesday, and there's cameras and lights everywhere. I'm going, what's going on?
Half the staff is gone. No tacos today. They brought the cameras in. Ya me voy. La migra.
Didn't we stop at one up there in Carolina? You and I, when we were on one of our NASCAR things,
probably
we stopped at a Mexican restaurant somewhere in one of the Carolinas.
I think I saw an old video of us, and saying that we did.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Anytime I see good tacos or some place that looks like they have good tacos, I gotta stop, man. It's like, it's like that bug light I have out back. You know what I mean? It goes zap, 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 zap. you put something that looks fairly authentic to me, and I get zapped. So. Anyway, man, we got some stuff to talk about today, people. I don't know who saw it, what saw it, but the reason we asked Richard Coleman to be on the show today is because if you don't know, now I'm going to let you know, we're in the middle. So Trini and I, we're not gang affiliated, not to the left side, the right side, not Crips, not Bloods, not mommy and daddy. We're in the middle, so our vote is up for grabs, depending, whoever puts forth the best candidate can get our vote. That's kind of how we look at it. Like, please put up the best argument, put up your best foot forward, give us a case, show us why we should vote for your side, because our side will never, ever, ever, ever apparently win the House. It just can't happen, right? There's no third party. There's no fourth party, fifth party that's ever going to make a dent. So
no, but let me stop you for a quick minute there.
Okay.
There is no third party. I don't think a third party will ever exist in the United States. Right. But what people don't understand, because the public are not informed as much as they should be anymore, is you guys actually, as independents, determine who wins elections.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's literally, there's roughly 30 to 35% left, 30 to 35% right. And guess what? There's another 30 that's left there for independents. Right. Independents from here to the end of our country will determine the outcome of elections. So I think that politicians on both sides of the aisle need to pay a lot more attention to what independents think and what independents are feeling than necessarily maybe what their own party does, because I'm wearing red. I'm a Republican. I'm going to vote Republican.
Right.
And I'm going to hold now I'm a little bit different. I hold my Republicans just as accountable as I do Democrats, but I'm the exception to the rule.
Right.
A majority of Republicans are going to go in there and they're going to vote straight ticket. Democrats are going to vote straight ticket. The independents will determine who wins elections, who has power in this country. So understand that there's not a defined third party, but there is definitely a group of people that determine who will run this country.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, and I agree with you also. But the only issue is typically those that are aligned with Trinity and I are not voting who they like. They're voting who they like less or don't like less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who do we hate less? That's the problem. That's the problem recently.
People are voting more. People are more likely to vote against the people that they don't like because, okay, think about this, right? You get bad service somewhere. Okay, let's take that back. You get really great service somewhere. You might tell 2 or 3 of your friends. You get horrible service from something and you don't like it, you're going to tell everybody.
For life.
Oh, yeah.
That is just human nature. So now you do have to be somewhat likable on both sides of the aisle if you're going to get anything done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Great point. So let's start off with this. So, Richard, you are, like you said, a Republican. You don't get offended when I call you a blood, do you? Do you get offended when I call you blood? You understand what I mean, right?
Yeah, I get it. You're fine.
By the way, we did actively try to get somebody from the left on here, but we had a hard time doing that. So if you are watching this and you're left and you would like to eventually be on here, reach out to us. We
love to have you on.
Yeah, we want a voice.
Love to have you on. Hey, let me start with that, Richard. Some concern has been with some people that veer more left, that are more in the Crip side. And I'm shocked by this, so I want to ask you about this. There some comments that I was hearing was that there's concern about the blowback from people should they publicly go against the Bloods. They feel like there could be some blowback from people. Like, I thought that's what you guys were saying. I thought that was something that you guys said. You guys are the ones getting canceled. You guys are the ones being, this and that. Have you heard that Democrats are afraid to speak publicly because of how there could be violence against them or attacks from the Republican side towards them?
No, I think that's a pump fake. I think that's a pump fake from the left. They want to, so my speech, they've said everything from my speech is violence, right? They claim that there are people out there that claim that my God-given right as an American to go out here and speak my mind and as I see the truth, not my truth, but as I understand truth.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to go out there and talk about it if it offends the other side. Well, guess what? Facts don't care about your feelings. And somewhere along the line in our culture, we've really, really skewed that understanding. People get upset. I mean, we say, okay, the sky's blue. Well, I didn't see it that way. Well, I'm offended that you think the sky's blue. Well, I'm sorry. It's not red. It's not Republican. I can appreciate the clouds just as they are. Right. But just because I'm going to tell you it's that color and you don't agree with me, that's somehow offensive or somehow violence towards somebody else. I just don't understand that thought process. No, I don't think they don't hurt my feelings when they try to come at us. But I think it's important that you kind of look across the board. And it's just like we see there's so many examples like these guys that are coming out with like Jason Aldean, for instance. Jason Aldean's song. Yeah. What about his song was offensive to the point that people wanted to cancel him and say that he was promoting violence? No, what he is saying is if, small town, neighborhood, family, whatever it is, if you come into our house or in our community with the intention of harming people and destroying property, we're not going to stand for it. That used to be a virtue in our culture. Yeah. And now it's somehow it's offensive somehow, and in some areas, depending on what you want to talk about, January 6th, it's considered violence.
Okay. I mean, a fair enough point. And again, we're not here to fight the other side's point. We hope that at some point somebody from the other side is willing to come on the show and speak it. I guess I just always heard the Bloods, what do you think about that, Trinity? I always heard the Bloods talk about getting canceled. This is the first time trying to get people on this show that they're the ones worried, but they're not worried about canceled. They're worried about violence. And just to be mindful, these are smart, intelligent people who have cited events and cited stories. Everybody has subjective stories, right? Where that occurred in So what do you think about that?
Well, first off, about the Jason Aldean thing, it backfired because I never even heard that name until all the controversy happened, and then I went to go listen to the song to see what it was all about. So it backfired. I think them trying to cancel him actually made him more popular. And no, I didn't. There was nothing wrong with the song. Like that was weird. As far as the whole idea that the left is afraid of the right's some sort of physical rebuttal, like I have not seen that. I'm not going to say never. I think when I was a kid, I might have seen it. But in the last like 10 years, that's not something that I feel is rampant. I do think that the right being canceled is much more prevalent. Like in what we do in YouTube, even there's a lot of words that you can't say without being demonetized and whatnot. Like you have to be very careful in how you go about doing things. So somebody professing their love for the Republican side, I think, is more in danger of negative repercussions from what I've seen.
And that's what I got curious when I heard this. I was thinking, I personally know a lot of people that they didn't even want to say who they voted for when it came. That's why even in the polls, remember, in the first time the election in 2016 when he won, like a lot of people didn't even want to admit they were voting for the guy. That's why we all went to sleep thinking he's going to lose, and then next thing you know, he won.
Because that's why the polling was wrong.
That's why the polling was wrong. And then throughout the 4 years, there was a lot of people that I knew that liked Trump, but they publicly they would just like be in conversations because I'm in the healthcare profession. In the healthcare profession, there's a lot more Crips than Bloods, and so many more people were outwardly like attacking DeSantis, attacking Trump, and then the people that I knew that were for DeSantis and Trump were kind of sitting there quiet, silently, just smiling.
Dude, there's a whole section on the internet.
I witnessed a lot of that.
There's a whole section on the internet for people to bully people wearing a MAGA hat. Like you couldn't wear a MAGA hat in public without somebody putting you on film, making fun of you and trashing you. Like
so it's interesting, right?
Yeah,
so it's
interesting.
interesting.
BS.
Well, I mean, it's not BS. I don't think it's a BS for an individual's perspective. I think everybody has their own perspective on what they experience. But I agree with you. I think on a national level, it's not as either I'm not seeing it and I'm really blind, which is possible, right? It's really possible that for some reason I just am not catching all these acts of violence towards Crips.
I guess I'm just old school.
I'm seeing a lot more canceling of Bloods in the recent years than any of Crips, but anyway.
I guess I'm just old school, dude. Like you want to have a conversation, let's talk, man. I'm not going to allow fear to just decide what I do or don't talk about. Like if I'm so afraid to speak my mind of some sort of violence, then I think there's something wrong with either my perspective or where I'm at. Like if you're gonna speak, man. Like that's part of what this country's founded.
But we do this.
Yeah, but that's
we all do. It's called America, bro. Like,
no, but we don't all do this. We don't all go public like this. But go ahead, Richard.
But this is the problem. We can't have a conversation with somebody on the other side of the aisle anymore because we're so polarized by the culture and then how people contribute. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to tell you that my party's innocent. The far right is just as guilty as the far left when it comes to creating the animosity for either side. But the problem is I can't sit down and have a conversation because, and this is tough. And I kind of relate it to, sometimes I relate it to having a conversation with somebody about theological belief between a believer and a non-believer. Is I can give them all the proof and I can give them all the excerpts and examples and witness and testimony and statistics about a situation, but they're not going to accept it because their thought process is completely different than mine.
Right.
Those statistics, like you try to have a conversation, like here's where I'm at. I try to be factual, whether it's a left-leaning situation or a right-leaning situation. I always try to bring facts and statistics to the conversation because that's what everything needs to be based on merit. Well, the problem that you have from the left, and this is my belief, the problem that you have from the left is they don't base their conversations or their beliefs on merit or facts or statistic. They believe they base it on whatever their feelings are that they woke up with that morning.
Okay. Well, then let's get into that then. So here's a fact: 91 indictments. Your leading man, 91 indictments. Now, I don't know if you're a Trump supporter, because I don't want to assume just because you're a Republican that you're a Trump supporter. And what I mean by that is there's people that no matter what people say about Trump, no matter what he even does, they're going to vote for him, no matter what. I mean, this guy can get convicted, and we know that there's a segment of society that's going to vote for him regardless of what truth comes out, right? So what do you, first of all, 91 should we be concerned about the 91 indictments? Because that is a lot of indictments. But then again, I do know maybe even some friends of mine that they throw a lot of cases at you because they're trying to get you on one. So they throw a lot at you. They want you to settle on at least something, right? So first of all, what do you say about 91 indictments?
I say that we should all be truly terrified, because there's not. I think there was a poll out, and I think it was a Rasmussen poll, if I remember correctly, that said that 91% of the people polled thought it was politically driven indictments. Okay, and they polled both right and left. Okay, that was a balanced poll. So I'm terrified at the fact that some of the elitists and some of the people that think that they can live outside the rules of whatever state constitution they may be dealing with, or the federal constitution, and weaponize the Department of Justice or the particular Department of Justice within those states against their political rivals. We should all be truly afraid of that, because that really is the breaking down of our republic.
So you're more focused on that this is election interference. This is politicizing of the legal system.
I'm of the belief that nothing happens out of Washington without purpose and being deliberate. So yes, and
I would agree. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I can't tell you what the left is thinking, because I don't think like a leftist, but I've heard multiple theories that want to talk about how the left is just doing this to prop up Trump to get him to the general, because they know that Biden will beat him in the general. They'll know, they believe that enough people will show up that hate Trump and vote against him and keep Biden in office. That it kind of like a smokescreen kind of situation.
So Richard, even you saying that, you're saying the left is doing this. Is it not the legal system doing this though?
Well, I think you need to look at the operatives within those legal systems.
Okay.
Were they Democrats, like these AGs? Are they Democrats or are they Republicans? Because in all 4 states, the people that are bringing charges against Trump are Democrats.
Right. And the one in Georgia is running for office too, by the way.
Right. She planned the indictments around a fundraiser that she was having for her next campaign.
So we should take all that into consideration so we shouldn't just look at the indictments. We should take into consideration, number one, their political affiliation and their professional goals or aspirations.
Well, I think that's a big problem with the left. Well, I think that's a big problem in the swamp as a whole, in Washington as a whole. Right. People will use whatever political power or power abilities to affect their political opponents, and I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem across the board. Trump did have a few things right. We do really need to clean house in D.C.
Why didn't he, Richard? Why didn't he clean the swamp? I mean, wasn't that the promise, to clean the swamp, drain the swamp?
I think it's one of those situations where I think he got overconfident, and I think that the misstep there was thinking that he would basically walk into a second term. And then when you walk into a second term, everybody always worries about the second term, right? Because there's nothing. If you're the second term president, you're not worried about re-election. So you do what you want to, how you want to, when you want to in your second term.
Right.
But you play nice through the first one.
Is that what he was doing? Playing nice?
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily speaking for Trump, but I can tell you what I've seen throughout my lifetime, how presidents act, whether they're one or second term.
Well, the curveball was COVID, right? That was you couldn't even predict that. That was his downfall, right? COVID.
So the curveball's COVID. Are you concerned with the rumors that are already starting to mount in the last 2 weeks with the new ERC2 virus?
Another shutdown, or another a shutdown, basically. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, from what I've heard, they're going to start with the healthcare workers first.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start with the municipals. They're going to start masking again. But I mean, this is all theoretical. This is all hearsay at this point. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's really, really like you can kind of tell when you because I listen to the other side too. Like I'll jump on CNN and listen to their stuff. I'll jump on MSNBC and listen to their stuff. I want to know what they're saying as much as I want to know what the political analysts believe on my side.
Right.
But the rumblings of another variant with no data to support deaths or, imminent danger to the public, we're already talking about masking up. The blue areas are already talking about, putting in mandates and restrictions. Well, if you're starting to do this as we start to head toward primaries and then we're into another general election, if the American people can't see that that's being timed up for a reason, I can't really help them.
So you think it's like T-ball?
From time to time, yeah.
The ball's being set on the tee.
Sometimes the most obvious answer is the answer.
Occam's razor.
That's an interesting point. First of all, I like what you said that you watch the other side too. I mean, the whole reason I switched from CNN to Fox News, and now I have News Nation, which is awesome. So I have a whole new channel that's kind of like goes to both sides and sways back and forth, and I really like that new channel as of right now. But the whole reason I even started listening to Rush Limbaugh back in the day was because I wanted to hear the other perspective, because he was so different than the perspective that I felt. So I felt like I had to listen to him, right? I felt like I had to see, all right, what is it you're saying that the people that are on a side that I feel sometimes a lot of disagreement with, if you're going to speak for them, I want to hear what you have to say. To me, he was one of the most eloquent speakers of that side. And even when I disagreed with him, at least I respected the way he explained it, because I don't mind someone being passionate about their view, regardless. And I think there was a respectful way of being passionate at one point. And now we got to a point where I feel it's a lot of disrespect, where it's almost difficult it's almost difficult to tolerate, a lot of the fighting that's going on.
I definitely want to speak to that, but I'm going to have to step away for just a minute, and I'll be right back, okay?
All right, definitely come back. Because we have a lot more to speak.
Definitely coming back.
All right, while you're gone, we're going to talk to Trinity a little bit. Trinity, you saw you were saying that Trump was on Tucker Carlson, and I didn't see that. I didn't see it. I haven't watched any clips about it, but you had some interesting points that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So for me, the thing that I've been most fascinated with is the Trump effect, I guess, right now. Right. Mainly because to me, it's crazy. Like, once again, I'm in the middle. I'm not really on either team, but it feels crazy to me that, as Richard alluded to, this feels incredibly political to me. Like, people want to talk about January 6th was an attack on democracy, which if you can't tell by my tone, I think that's complete bullshit.
Right.
I don't think it was an attack on democracy. I don't even think it was that big of a deal, to be honest with you. Like, I think for the people who were there, yes, it was obviously a big deal, but in context of all the things that were happening that summer, I don't think it was that big of a deal. But locking up your political opponent in either jail and or knee deep in the court system, where they have to spend all this time, effort, money to defend themselves instead of campaigning against you and doing rallies and stuff, that feels very Putin-esque. You know what I mean? That feels very Putin's opponent suddenly disappeared kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's that feels crazy to me. Like, especially when you've known all along that you were going to go after this guy. Right after January 6th, it took a month before they started putting people, and finding them and putting them in jail and charging them and stuff. But you wait 3 years, and just so happens to be right before the real campaign stuff starts hitting, like literally days before or days within days of the debates. Come on, man. Like, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like, I think most people can see through that. And as he said, 91% of the polls found that out. So anyways, I'm fascinated with this and how it's all going to play out. And I have my own ideas on what that's going to be. Right. But as far as the Tucker Carlson interview, I didn't watch
he didn't go to the debate.
Correct.
He instead did this came out. You're saying on the same night.
Yeah, it was right before it. So I didn't get to watch any of them the night of. My wife is very anti-politics, so I didn't watch any of it live. But the next morning, I was trying to get access to everything to see, what I missed. The debate itself was very difficult to get like full on. I was able to get like a couple minute clips here and there, but the actual debate I couldn't find. Whereas the Tucker Carlson interview, as long as you have Twitter, you can just literally go on and watch it. And Tucker, ever since he left Fox, I guess he's been doing his own like little interview type thing. He's already done Andrew Tate, a couple other people, and it's been massively popular. So it was no surprise that when they announced that Trump, instead of going to the debate, he's going to do the Tucker Carlson interview. I think at one point it was the most watched thing like in the history of the internet almost.
Wow.
Like it was ridiculous the ratings that it was getting. The people who were watching it. So I watched the whole thing the next morning. And I'm not a Trump guy at all, but during his original campaign and even a little bit during the second one, I could understand the reaction of people as far as those who loved him. I could see him pumping him up. I could see the effect he had on the crowd. Like, his rhetoric was effective.
Right.
This time it felt less so. It felt more like just like an old get off my lawn. It felt like I said to you the other day. It felt like an old rock star that's still touring today, playing songs from the 80s. It's just kind of like it just felt. He didn't say anything new. He did a bunch of complaining about stuff. At one point, he was talking about washing machines that didn't have enough water in them, which I think he mentioned in one of his previous campaign rallies. The very, very beginning, he did kind of go outside the norm for politics and called some names to other people running, which I don't think is very new to him. But he had some of that same kind of fervor he had before. But then it kind of just drifted off into like, I don't want to say senile, but like just the old man mumbling in the corner is what it felt like.
No, was it because of anything Tucker did? Was it any?
No, Tucker just lets him go. Okay. Tucker's interview style is to ask a few questions and let you run.
And then, okay, so it wasn't that he was moving it in a certain direction.
No. Tucker definitely, would prompt him with some questions, but Trump had no problem.
So, in your opinion,
pontificating.
Do you think it's because of so much going on that he's? I mean, really, the guy's been indicted by 4 different courts, right? Isn't it 4 different courts? Is it 4 or 5? I don't know.
I think it's 4.
Okay. I mean, do you think that's kind of because he's already the kind of guy that if you even mention him, no matter what you say, like he
really thin skin. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, severely thin skin for sure.
Right. So, do you think that's part of why maybe he wasn't on the ball there with Tucker? That he's just involved with so many arguments that he didn't know how to just do the deal like he used to?
It's a good question. First off, just from a humanistic perspective,
right?
How could you not be negatively impacted when you got 90-some indictments and half the country hates you more than Hitler? I get that, and I'm not going to say that it didn't have an effect on him because it probably did.
Right.
But that's not the feeling that I got when I watched it. The feeling I got was just out of touch. That's the feeling I got. The feeling I got was
overwhelmed.
Well, this worked before, so it should work again. Like he didn't update anything. He didn't have anything new. He just played the same record, thinking it was going to work again. Right?
So let me ask Richard on that. So Richard, it kind of sounds like you know how it is when you get a lot of yes men around you. I mean, I've had a lot of yes men around me before. I think that's why I like hanging out with Trinity because he's not just yes. You know what I mean? He's not a yes man.
No, I'm not a yes man.
No, and I've had a lot of my friends have been yes men. I mean that's the fact of it. My wife has constantly told me that. She says, "Why do people do this, for you?" And it's like I don't know, baby. I'm not asking for it. I mean, it just is what it is, right? So I tend to really like people that aren't that way, that would challenge me, that don't agree with me all the time. Do you think he has too many people around him saying he's doing the right thing, so therefore he's not adapting, not growing, not pivoting when he should?
I believe that in his last administration, he definitely needed some different people around him to give him some solid advice. I think that he made a misstep in not really cleaning house in the DOJ and some of the holdovers from the prior administration. And then at some point, I'm sure that he's built some relationships over time that probably aren't as healthy as they should be or they need to be for him to be the kind of president that we'd all expect him to be, or be that Trump guy that came down the escalators in 2016.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, I guess, it's kind of one of those things where if you involve yourself in, a toxic culture long enough, which I can't think of a more toxic culture than DC itself, but it in some ways changed.
Right. Oh, it looks like we lost him a little bit.
And
power, right? Trinity. I mean, look, like how there's a thought out there that says money doesn't change people. Money exposes who you really are, right?
Sure.
I mean, it could be power does the same thing, right? I mean, he already had money, so that's why
Right.
we knew him to be the arrogant, self-absorbed narcissist that we all tend to diagnose him as, right? But we accepted him that way because he was there. He was over there. He was giving us
Yeah.
good boxing matches. He was giving us good NBC television. And so it's fine if he's over there. But now he's in our lives. Now he's our president. And so it's not as cute anymore, right?
Yeah. To me, I think there's another reason potentially, and it's going to sound bad maybe for some people, but it feels like it's this glaring pink elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's like 80, right? You know what I mean? Like maybe he's just out of touch. You know, maybe he's just older. And when they removed him from Twitter and all the other social media, he kind of lost that back and forth, right? And then when you open Truth Social, it's his thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, he got surrounded by his own stuff that he was on there. So I think he was removed from that back and forth and removed from putting something crazy on Twitter and then having the whole world react to it and getting that immediate feedback. So like, I think there's a possibility that the dude's like 80 years old. Maybe he's just a little out of touch, you know, like maybe he's kind of, I mean, I'm that way, right? In my own world, right? Like when it comes to music, I don't really listen to a lot of the new stuff. I kind of listen to older stuff. Like that's just,
and you're only like 43.
Yeah. So I got to imagine like almost 80, or is he 80? I don't know. He's around 80. I know that. Gosh, dude, I got to imagine he's kind of stuck in his own little ways. And he's just like, well, this worked before. No, you know, nobody believed in him before and he did it and it worked. So maybe he's stuck in that rut of what once worked is going to work again.
And I guess I'm looking at like he's almost like in one of those Royal Rumbles of wrestling, right? Where like, you know how like they have like 20 wrestlers in the ring or something? But I feel like he's the only one on his side.
Yeah.
Right? And there's like 19 people.
Oh, he's getting beat up from all directions.
All directions.
Well, let me ask you a question. That's an interesting point. Why do you think that is?
Which one?
I mean, he's almost as hated on the right as he is on the left, as much on the right as he is on the left. I mean, why is it that everybody doesn't like this guy? Is it because a lot of people are comfortable with the way things are and they don't really want anybody rocking the boat? Or could it be people that are in power not wanting to lose that power?
I feel like it's mob mentality.
Yeah, that's a good question, Richard. And I guess, you know, I agree with Dharma. I think there's some mob mentality there, but I also think that it's because there's a level of truth in him that we all may feel, but like we're not allowed to say, right? Like, so I think that his non-filter, we all know that in order to live our lives, we all have to apply a filter. Like we all know people that have no filter, and although they're our friends, there's certain places we don't take that friend because of that non-filter.
Yeah.
Right. We don't mind being that person's friend, but you won't take them to a certain place, maybe even your own home with your own wife or your own family, because that friend has no filter. Right. He's that guy with no filter. So
right, but when we talk about what are we filtering?
Well,
like,
I mean,
I'm definitely, listen, I'm not going to tell you that I'm not. I'd be lying to you if that I was. There's plenty of places that my family, being a majority of liberal Democrat, Hispanic, Puerto Rican women, they do not want me to talk about politics at any event that they're at. Family event, a walk in the park, going to watch my cousin play softball. They don't want me to talk about politics or religion ever. But
do you get
why?
that warning
what
conversation? Do you get that warning conversation? Like,
filtering?
Please, Richard, if you come, just don't do this, okay? Do you get that?
Right. But why? Because people don't want to be reminded where they're screwing it up?
I just think there's a time and a place type of situation. Like, I think that some people just don't want to have those discussions at certain points.
But here's the problem. The issues that are facing America are real, and we can't avoid them forever. Yeah. And the problem is the filter that they want to put on is the only filter that they want to put on is the voice from the other side of the aisle, regardless of which side it may be.
Well, here's a point. Here's something that I struggle with when I think about like a Donald Trump. I can't think of a policy that I had an issue with, but I can think of a lot of the ways he said it that I had an issue with.
That to me is the big conundrum. That is the big conundrum. I ask that all the time. The same thing Richard is essentially asking, maybe different words, but for the life of me, man, like I don't know. I think maybe one person probably, right? Brett is probably the only one I could think of that is like uber pro Trump, right?
Shulman?
Yeah. Brett TV.
Brett TV.
He's probably the only one I know that's like super pro Trump, right? I know other people who tolerate him or don't really have an opinion, but man, have I met a ton of people that adamantly hate this dude to the level that he like walked into their house and slapped their kid or something, right? And those people, I've asked them, like, what is it? Hey, what's up, my man? I've asked those people, what is it that's pissed you off so much? Like, why are you so adamant? And that's why I think it's the media. That's why I think it's mob mentality. So let me finish my point real quick.
I'm sorry.
That's why I think it's mob mentality and why I think it's the media, right? Because when you hear something enough, it becomes fact, right? There was a guy that said that long ago. I don't remember the quote, but basically, if you say something long enough, it becomes the truth. Mm-hmm. And so when the media, I remember the day that I started kind of defending Donald Trump was the day I saw on CNN, the ticker at the bottom said Trump's racist tweet. It was, as a fact, this is a news station on the bottom, Trump's racist tweet. I was like, holy shit, what happened? Like, so I immediately went to Twitter and I scoured through the Twitter trying to figure out what happened? And I saw the tweet that they were talking about. And to me, it was not racist in any way, shape, or form. Dude.
Right.
Was it disgusting potentially?
Yeah.
Sure. Was it inappropriate? Possibly. Like, could I find why people would be offended by it? Yes. But racist? No. Right. But they were putting that out as fact. And then next thing I know, everybody around me is like, oh, Trump is racist. I'm like, but hey, wait a minute. You're just repeating what you heard. Like, you didn't actually see anything that this dude did. Right. And so it's kind of like that new song that's out right now. I don't know if they played it at the Republican debate. This Oliver Anthony guy, whatever. Right. So I heard this dude like blew up overnight, right? And everybody's talking about how great this song is and everything else. I'm gonna give my honest opinion. I listened to the song and I thought it was terrible. I didn't think it was a good song at all. Like the melody was way off. It kept feeling like he was gonna hit, like it was a bad song. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Even the words that he used were just weird, like ranting, raving about. Like I don't know, I just feel like somebody whining and complaining about stuff in an melody, in a bad melody. But because they're saying how good it is, everybody's like, this song is so great. So is it though? Like I don't think it is. And so that's what I feel with the Trump thing is. I think that a few people who have positions of power, right? Because if you're on TV, you're powerful. If you're on TV, you're influential. Period. Right. Saying he's this, that, and the other, and people are like, yeah, that's how I feel about it. And it's like, I don't know if it's true or not.
Right.
And that's how I feel. It's just like it's this weird thing that just caught steam and it just blew up. And I think it started, yes, because he gave you a lot to work with, right? He's kind of a prick. He'll say some stuff that's like, dude, why would you say that? Like, I don't understand. And instead of people being adults about that and saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, I don't like this, or that's why they elected him, is because he's not presidential.
Right.
They instead were like, that's not my president, and then they went off and they just caught fire. That's my opinion on it.
Richard? They don't like Trump because Trump says the quiet part out loud.
Yeah,
it's that simple. So it goes back to, and like I said, I'm one of those guys. Like I don't have a filter. I wore a mega hat in 2020 to my 20th high school reunion down there in Orlando. Okay.
I missed that one too.
I am that guy. Okay. You're going to know exactly what I believe every step of the way.
Yeah, I've seen the posts.
But think about what we're filtering. Like for instance, in Virginia a couple years ago, when we talk about abortion, right? They were literally saying that they would allow a child to be born and then not take care of it from a medical or human standpoint. If you've got a problem with me filtering that, we've got a bigger issue. What do they want? The BLM riots. When you talked about them, you can't call them riots. They're protests, right? They're tearing the places apart and burning them to the ground. But we can't call them riots. Right. Mostly peaceful. I can't talk about that, right? I can't talk about the fact that we no longer in our culture can define the difference between a man and a woman. And we can't understand why men shouldn't compete with women in contact sports. Like, what exactly are you not wanting me to, what exactly out of the conversation are you wanting me to filter that you're so afraid of? You're afraid that you're wrong and that you have no moral standing and you have no merit and you have no facts to back up your beliefs. And then you want to impose those same beliefs on me and force me to tell you that you're right. And I'm not going to do it.
It's an interesting point. I guess, growing up, I always thought that your party was the self-righteous party, right? I really did. Whether I was right or wrong, I don't know. But I just always felt like you guys were the parents, right? And then now it's almost like it's flipped. Like, the people that feel holier than thou is the other side right now, like being like, how dare you talk like that? How dare you say that? You're insensitive. You shouldn't talk like, you should feel like this, to the point where it's not tolerated. Now, I want to get back to the point where I feel like that about both of you. You know what I mean? Because I don't like that I express here's what I don't like. I'll be honest with both of you, for everybody. I don't like the fact that when I speak my view these days, people label me a Trumper or a MAGA or right wing or Republican. And it's not that those things are wrong or bad. It's just I'm not. So the fact that disagreeing with pop culture beliefs, if that's what they are, make me that, I'm concerned about that. Like,
should be.
And then when I say I'm in the middle, when I've said this, and I've said to these people, I'm in the middle, I'm registered independent, and they said, "Oh, that's what all right-wing people say." Or if I say, if I question them about something they're talking about, they'll say, "Oh, where did you see that? Fox News?" It's like, why is everything I saw it on Fox News as if, like, do you watch Fox News? Because I watch both. I watch CNN and Fox, yet when I say something, you automatically think Fox, but I never hear right people say, "Oh, where'd you get that? CNN? Where'd you get that?" You know what I mean? It's like there's this real
mob mentality,
like holier than thou kind of attitude.
Oh yeah,
like.
Well, you know why that is, though, right?
What is it?
Because the liberals have cornered the market right now on things that feel good, right? It feels good to say that police hate black people or something, or it feels good to say that women should have rights to choose this or whatever. Like, they have the market cornered on the things that feel good to say. Like, much like you and I back in the day, we researched, I think it was last year when the hurricanes hit, right? And because we live in Florida and because we just had all this devastation and everything else, it feels good to say that, man, it seems like there's way more hurricanes and there's so much worse. And everybody's going to be lined up like, yeah, man, it is crazy out there. But then you and I actually, it was funny, oddly enough, that we both on our own independently looked it up and we came back to the same conclusion that that's the same. It's literally the exact same it was several hundred years ago.
And all the biggest were actually we've
only had like five
ago. We've all had the biggest fires, floods, hurricanes, all the biggest of every one.
Long time ago.
Was in the 1800s or 19.
Yeah, well, we've had 5 Category 5 hurricanes, and all but like 1 or 2 of them happened way before even 1990.
Because
it feels good.
Weather.
Yeah.
And Richard, I got to blame both sides on this. We both politicize. I get it. All you guys have to do is say, yes, climate changes. That's what it does. People change. World changes. Rocks change. Even a rock doesn't stay a rock. If water touches it enough, it's going to scar it. That's time. That's evolution. That's process. Yes, climate changes, but there's things that we can do to limit the destruction of such activities. And the things that we can do are clear the brush out. Like, all these fires keep happening. Why don't they just clear the brush? Why don't we just allow dead trees to be sitting everywhere and brush to be sitting everywhere? We talk
because
about
we've made environmental laws that are more worried about protecting the trees than we are the people.
It's the dead trees we got to remove. Got to remove them. Dead trees got to be removed. You got to.
Well, there might be a woodchuck that's endangered that lives underneath that.
So true. That's so true. I live near an area, man, that I remember when they started building, right? And now, what's weird is now there's like 20 years later. By the way, here we are, 20 years later. Finally, the whole complex that we're going to build, they're finally building it now, Trinity. But 20 years ago, when they started building it, they found these friggin' little turtles, and they stopped building. Right. So we had this big hole, this nasty, stupid hole, and it halted production for our entire neighborhood for 20 years. Finally, now we have a McDonald's over there. Finally, now we have a Starbucks over there. Finally, now they're building. But it took 20 years to do it because they found stupid little turtles. And look, people, if you love turtles, I know that you love turtles, but and I love turtles too. But we have relocated everything, including people. to get to a better situation, right?
Sure.
So what prevents us from relocating turtles to get to a better situation? You know what I mean? We're humans, and even though we shouldn't be masters of the universe, guess what? We are. We are the masters of the universe. You know, we all talk a big game, but all of us drive vehicles. We all wear clothing. We all do things. So we're all what do you call it? We're all hypocrites.
Well, I want to hear more. The sun's going down, so I'm going to lose light here in a minute.
All right, so let's
talk about the debate, man.
All right,
I want to hear what Richard thought.
So, Richard, the debates happen. There's a bunch of guys. Of course, the big elephant in the room was Trump, and he wasn't there, which is smart, by the way. Don't go.
If you're 40 or 50 points ahead, why would you be?
Why would you? I mean, he had everything to lose, nothing to gain. So, from the debate, which candidate resonated the best for you personally, and why? Who had most to gain in your eyes? To you, who gained ground to you?
I'd have to say that if I had to pick two off that debate stage, I would pick Ramaswamy and DeSantis.
Really? Why Ramaswamy?
Ramaswamy is kind of a wild card. I think you need something younger. I think you need something different. I've heard all the rumors about him being a globalist, and he does switch his position a lot on parties, but he needed to get, the reason he gains ground with me, because he wasn't afraid. This is what the right is looking for at this point. The right has been beat up for so long, whether it was through Trump's administration or whether it's been since Trump's administration. The right is looking for somebody that's not going to pull the punches. Ramaswamy didn't pull the punches last night. He didn't play nice. He called it as he saw it.
Right.
And granted, if you think that you're going to find somebody out there that's got it all figured out, knows exactly where he's going to stand on every policy, and there's not going to be any compromise, the person doesn't exist. Secondly, they'd never get anything done.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you're right or left. When you get in the seat, at some point you're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to negotiate. So these people that they stick their nose up in the air and they tell you what I hated about this. Let me just tell you what I hated about the speech. Okay? Or about the debates. If you went across that board, Ramaswamy was the only one that actually debated. Trinity, you know how I was in the 9th grade in Miss Cullen's class? I loved debate class. Okay. Yeah. I loved debate class.
Yeah, same.
But the rest of those guys up on the rest of the candidates up on the panel last night, they never addressed the question or the issue. They just took it and spun it into a 30 second to a 1 minute stump speech on what they wanted to say in that particular moment.
Was I not just saying that to you, Louis? Right before
Ramaswamy took whatever they said. That guy, you say what you want to about the guy. I don't know. I'm not overly educated about the man, but he wasn't afraid to engage, and he wasn't ignorant on any issue.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that personally. First and foremost, right before we came on, I was talking about the debates, and I was like, from what I've seen, it wasn't a debate. It was just people mudslinging and, talking about how great they are or whatever. It wasn't actual topics that we're debating. So it wasn't really interesting.
Exactly. And think about the topics. They didn't hit any hard topics last night or the night before. They didn't hit a single hard topic. We didn't talk about the LGBTQ issues, the transgender issues. We didn't really even talk about the economy. And that should be the number one focus of a conservative.
Interesting. Yeah. I see. I got a little look. Vivek, obviously, he was the big swinger in the room. He swung big. He went. He's the only one that seemed comfortable up there talking to each and every one of them, not even caring, almost like he had nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose, so I'm just going to speak it how I speak it. But I don't care whether you like it. He's very intelligent, very quick, but he seems kind of phony to me. He doesn't seem real. He doesn't seem genuine.
Well,
I can see that.
Well, and let me just tell you this. He's not running for president.
He's running for VP, right?
He's running for vice president.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think.
And you know why? When they asked if Trump was indicted on criminal charges, who would still support him? Who was the only hand that went up?
He was the first hand. No, the other hands went up, but he right away went up.
Here's what I believe. I believe that there was multiple facets of kind of a Trump, aura in the air. You got Christie on one side, you've got the never Trumpers that were just going to attack him, the Republicans that were going to attack him.
Right.
You have the ones that are kind of, we like his policies, we don't like his rhetoric. We're not going to go on the record. We're just going to we're going to call a ceasefire on him. We're not going to mess with him. And then you got the guys that are just going to support him no matter what.
No matter what.
I think that's what you're looking at. You've got the people that'll be quiet because they like his policies. They're not going to agree with his mannerisms. You got the ones that hate him and despise him and will stand opposed to him, even if it would save their grandmother's life to agree with them. And then you've got the ones that are going to support him. Now, Ramaswamy, he's a supporter. He's looking. I think he's looking to be number 2 on the ticket.
I think so too. I 100% agree with you. I think he knows that worst case scenario. Let's say Trump is the guy. Let's say Trump decides to take him because he checks a certain box for him or whatever, and he knows he can be loyal. He knows the guy's old, and then so worst case scenario, I can go next. It's like and then they can't say I don't have experience. Then they can't say I'm too young. And they can't say I don't. I'm the natural next person in line at that point. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Now an interesting one that you said DeSantis. To me, DeSantis has been disappointing me for the last little bit. And then the other night during the debate, I felt like he was that kid. You know those pictures like when the mom licks her hand and combs the hair of a kid, and they put that stupid little smile. Like,
yeah,
he had that little grin on. It was so uncomfortable. He looked so uncomfortable. I mean, I know the guy's on the spectrum, so I don't want to offend that point. I know he's on the spectrum. I don't know if that's widely known or whatever. So I know he's on the spectrum, but it was too obvious of a spectrum. And since people don't know that he's on the spectrum, it makes him look uncomfortable, and it just doesn't make him relatable either. And everything he said was canned. Everything was rehearsed. He didn't answer a question. Everything he said was rehearsed.
Well, all of them did that except Ramaswamy, but
he was very obvious. No, Pence spoke a little bit of his mind. Pence did speak his mind with whether we like Pence or not like Pence. At least Pence went a little bit further. I think he showed the most I guess experience in the room.
Which he should. He's been to multiple VP debates. Right. He's been in that circle. He's been in those debate arenas. He's seasoned. He's the most seasoned politician on the board, probably. That's why he sounded that way.
And it showed.
This is what frustrates me about my party and about the constituents within the party. There's a big difference between people that say what they're going to do and then actually do it. The problem that DeSantis has is people don't honestly care as much as they should. He's actually put the policies in that we fight for, we shout about on social media and in all these circles. He's actually already put those policies in place in Florida.
That's
why they're working.
Yeah.
When parents the Parents Bill of Rights, Education Bill of Rights, he said he was going to put the power back in the hands of the parents. When he found out that there was AGs and district attorneys that were not doing their jobs and
he did it here.
Prosecuting criminals, he removed them.
He did it here a couple weeks ago.
He's doing the stuff that we want our president to do, but he's not getting the recognition from the constituents or the poll members because of the polarization of Trump's situation.
So it doesn't bother you.
If you remove, here's what I believe: if you removed Trump from the equation right now in this election,
right,
DeSantis would have the lead that Trump currently has.
Okay,
I can see that. That's what he's running on, by the way. He's running on, look, I've done it, like that, and that's what he should run on too.
Right. So let me throw a couple other names at you because from my perspective in the middle, I really like the way Nikki stood up to them and the way she presented herself. I was really impressed by the way she communicated, by the way she did what she did. And I haven't always liked what she said. I've had my issues, tolerating some of the things that she has said in the past. However, this time I found myself going like, "Go, girl! You good job. That was a good time to come in a good way to show some force." What do you think about Nikki?
I think Nikki's your sleeper. I called her 4 years ago, and I said Trump should, in the next election cycle, I always thought that Trump should dump Pence and pick up Nikki Haley.
Okay. Interesting.
That was always that to me would be the dream team ticket for a Republican in the next election.
Okay. Another name. I've always wanted Tim Scott to do better than he did. I really like when Tim Scott is by himself and he's on interviews. I like most of what he says. And then he gets on the big stage and some people just can't come to the plate in the big arena, right? Like they shrink. And to me, he shrunk up there, which was a little disappointing.
Would you ever describe Tim Scott as aggressive?
No.
That's why he'll never make it. Like I
So
said,
are you saying your party requires that kind of strength, that cowboy, that Ronald Reagan strength?
What has tolerance got us in the last 30 years since Reagan?
No, I got you. I got you. Maybe that's the
like
issue.
I'm not above being tolerant, but if you tolerate, they'll dominate, and they have, and they continue to, and it's aggravating. Like I said, I think the overall premise of the Republican Party is they want somebody that's not afraid to be aggressive, and they're not going to pull the punches. They're going to follow through.
I could see that.
And that's what impresses me about Vivek. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Vivek says that I'm like, I don't know about that. But I love the fact that I've seen a couple. There's one interview that's been making the rounds lately where a girl came up to ask him something with the LGBTQ community.
Oh, yeah. He answered it really well.
He answered it spot on. And it was contrary to what the norm is at the moment. He wasn't afraid to be like, no, I disagree. And this is why. And he hit her with it. And she walked away with, like, there's nothing she could have said because he wasn't rude. He wasn't obnoxious. He was just a matter of fact. And they walked away both happy. Like, I love the fact that he's not afraid to do that. And that's one of the things I like about DeSantis, too, is DeSantis is not afraid to be like, no, this is what we're doing.
Right.
I agree.
I can tell you this. If you're a Republican that's running for a congressional seat or, God forbid, God willing, a presidential seat, passive isn't going to get you there.
Okay. And then the last name, and this is the guy that I feel like I normally like how this guy presents himself. And even up there, I like him, but I feel like he's not right enough for you guys. Like, he's not Republican enough for you guys.
You can say
Christie seems like a guy I would hang out with. Christie seems like a friend. That's a Goomba friend right there. I just like the way I don't know. I really like the way he frames what he's thinking, saying he seems to be more real, more honest. I believe him. You know what I mean? I don't feel the shadiness or the shade. Like, I don't feel like he's putting on anything. I feel like he's just hanging it all out there. This is what it is. This is how you do it. Why doesn't your party embrace someone like a Christie? What is the real issue with someone like Christie?
Honestly, he's never like, for me personally, I've never had a feeling of confidence from the guy. Like, I think he's go along to get along, and people don't want that.
What does that mean? Go along to get along? What do you mean? What do you?
Well, I mean, think about it. Everybody, the big thing that's come up in the last couple of years, they call it the uniparty, right? They talk about where both sides on camera, they yell at each other and fight back and forth. But if at 7:00 at night, if you go down the boulevard off of Pennsylvania Avenue and find the local bar, you'll find 6 or 7 of them from both sides of the aisle.
That's the way it used to be, though, right? Together. That's the way it used to be.
But this isn't. It's not. Yes, that's exactly how it used to be, but it's not a fair comparison, because at the end of the day, the people that used to do it and the ones that we revere for doing it always had the people's interest at the forefront. And now we know that the swamp is established based off everything that I've seen, whether it's been insider trading allegations, or political assignments, or somebody might be sleeping with a Chinese spy, or whatever it is. It's all swept under the rug. And they get to retain their power. There's no accountability for it. And at the end of the day, the American people are paying for all this garbage.
So do you think you think Christie is swampish?
I know he's swampish. I mean, Look at his track record. How long has he been there? What's he done since he's been there? What's he done for, what has he done for his constituents?
I didn't know he blocked a bridge.
I didn't know he was in Washington. I guess maybe I misunderstood. I thought he was just governor of Jersey. What did he do in Washington?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, what was he before he was governor?
Maybe, I don't know. I thought he was a district attorney. Right? Yeah, attorney general or something like that. Yeah. Like that.
Attorney.
I mean, that's usually the next step. AGs are a stepping stone to the governor's mansion.
Right. Yeah.
But it's all politics.
Well, I mean, you got to get there somehow, right? You got to get known. Not everybody can have the sweet, rise to power that Buttigieg had. That you can go from, Nothing.
A mayor of a small town.
A mayor of a small little
president.
town. Running for
You mean the
president.
mayor of a small town that couldn't fill the potholes in the rundown streets, but we're going to make him transportation secretary of the United States of America?
Right.
Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
that. You know, if there's any, that's not the American dream. That's the identity politics dream. You know what I mean? That's.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And he really fills the role. I mean, he jumps on that bike as they unload it out of the SUV every morning, and he rides that extra 100 feet into the Capitol.
So you're saying Christie? What is Christie up there to do then? Is Christie up there just to piss people off?
Christie's the atomic bomb to the
Because
Republican
he knows
Party.
you guys are never going to. To me, Christie is like how Bernie Sanders is in the Democratic Party. Like Bernie Sanders could say everything right. People could like everything he's got to say, but the Democrats will never, ever, ever put him as their point guy. And I think that's how Christie is. Christie could be completely right, have all the points in the world, and you guys are never going to put him up front.
I agree. Christie is probably one of those facets. He's just one of those. And here's the thing, and this is where I really struggle too with some of the party stuff. The never Trumpers or the Trumpers, the Trump supporters that are just 100% Trump supporters, they'll cancel me, a Republican, for not agreeing on one thing that Trump might say or do.
Yeah,
that's
those
a
people are
problem.
fanatics, man. Like,
That's
on
a
both
problem.
sides. Yeah, both sides are fanatics. People pro or against. They're all like crazy fanatical.
Because like Pence doesn't even have a chance, right? I mean, because Pence went against Trump. There's no chance that all those Trumpers are ever going to vote for Pence.
Pence is doing this to save face. What does it say for a guy that from a policy standpoint, that administration did a lot of really good things? Peace in the Middle East, lowest tax rates, secure borders. I mean, they really did. They did move the needle on a lot of different areas. Pence would be a shoo-in.
He would be
behind Trump.
Right.
But because of what was created through COVID in the last election cycle, Pence is doing this to save face. Because what does it say for his legacy if he comes out of that administration and doesn't defend himself?
But isn't it one thing? Isn't it just that all he did wrong in your guys' eyes is he said, no, Biden won the election, right?
He disagreed with Trump.
That's what I'm saying. So that's all he did, right?
Listen, and I've said this before too, and they can take it with a grain. They can take it. They can like it. They got two choices. They can like it or get over it. Because here's my opinion. The fact of the matter is, was the election stolen? No. Was it rigged? Absolutely.
Right.
How is it rigged? Well, we allowed with emergency declarations during quote unquote pandemic, we allowed voting regulations and laws to be litigated instead of done through the legislative bodies, which they're supposed to, which is unconstitutional on every level, whether it's state or federal. So in my opinion, any absentee or mail-in ballots that were accepted in areas that would have normally not had them via the pandemic conditions, I think those are invalid votes. That's my opinion.
I think it was rigged long before that.
Right. Do I think that there was this massive do I think that there was this massive organized coup of people stuffing ballot boxes here and there and everywhere? No. And why do I think that? Because they can't get out of their own way in DC. You think they organized a nationwide coup?
Wow. So in your opinion, does Trump get convicted on any one of the 91 counts?
I think this, unfortunately, I think the strongest case against him is actually the classified documents. But that's the one that, because like everybody says, Trump is every lawyer's worst client, right? What is a lawyer? What's the first thing a lawyer
Shut up.
tell you to do?
Don't say anything.
Shut your mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Just stay quiet. Like, I need you to stand back there and be quiet for 5 minutes while I fix this.
He can't though.
But
He's going to campaign.
He can't do it. So he goes, like, he gets put on a recording where he's talking about, well, I would have had the chance to declassify this, but I didn't. But here, let me show you anyways. So they got him dead to right. The rest of it is, and it's all politically motivated, but the rest of it is just Obama legal strategy. Throw a bunch of crap against the wall and pray it sticks.
So what happens? What happens to Trump in your opinion? What's if you had to predict it right now? What do you predict?
I think the overall politicized goal is to hem him up in court cases so that he doesn't have the ability to go out and put on these big rallies.
So will it work?
And he
will it
can't
work?
campaign. Time will
In your
tell.
opinion, will it work? No, just like predict here. Let's get into a prediction.
Do I think with the legal battles that Trump faces currently, and if he's the nominee, if we go through and nothing changes except this, and he's got to go and fight those court cases, he can't win a general.
So does he win the first of all, does he get indicted of anything? Are you saying yes, he will be indicted of?
Well, he's already been indicted. The question,
I mean, not indicted. I'm sorry, convicted.
Will he be convicted?
Yeah, will he get convicted of anything?
I don't know that the conviction will determine whether he gets convicted or not won't determine whether or not he wins the general.
No, just that. Do you think he'll be convicted of at least one thing out of 91? Will he be convicted?
I think there's at least one of those kangaroo courts that'll convict him of something.
Right. The second thing, do you think he'll do any time? In your opinion, do you think he'll do time?
Coin flip.
Okay, Trinity, you said no. Trinity, you say no.
I think I just from my knowledge of the legal system, and granted, I'm not a lawyer, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn once. I think it's all BS. I think it's they're all weird. I think they're loopholes that they're trying to do, but I think they're only doing that because they needed to come up with an excuse. I don't think any of them think they're going to get a conviction, and I don't think they're doing it for the conviction. I think they're doing it to make a statement for people to parade them around and say, look what we did. We got him in a mugshot. And as he said, try to hem him up in court so he can't actually do anything. I don't think a conviction is what they were actually going for ever. I think it's it reminds me of have you ever seen one of these high speed chases, right? Where the person just basically was speeding, ran from a cop, and they pulled him over. But when they read off the charges list, it's 784 charges. Every time that they did anything even remotely illegal, they put it down there. Right. And then half of those things get thrown out. I think that's what this was. I think they put everything we can so it just seems crazy. We want him to get overwhelmed. We want him to not be able to go out there and campaign. And we want to show these people that, hey, look at what we did. We put him in a mugshot. I don't think that they think they're going to win, and I don't think they're going to win. My
prediction is the cases will go past the election period. I don't think any of the cases will finalize either way prior to the election period. I think he will be your guys' guy. I think he will be the Bloods guy. I think he'll lose in the general election if he's the guy. And I think that once he loses and knows that there's no way to be president again, he has nothing to lose. That's when he will take a plea. I don't think he'll ever do a plea before trying to be president again. But once he finds out the presidency is out of reach, there's no way he's going to be president, I think he'll take a plea deal and be the first person that after taking a plea deal will completely violate the plea deal and go around and say he was innocent the whole time he was forced to take a plea. That's my prediction.
I can see that. That's the problem, right? Is it's all plausible. That's the problem when it comes to him.
Yeah, but I think that's the route. There's enough stain on him that will make it too difficult for people in the middle to vote him in, because he's going to carry Vivek or someone like a Vivek, and it'll scare the hell out of the middle because they won't know what they're having. And right now, even though I don't think the middle is happy with Biden, I don't think the middle is happy with Kamala being a heartbeat away from presidency. But
people are more scared of Kamala than they are Trump. I can tell you that much.
Ooh, I don't.
I think people
they hate Trump.
Right. I think there's more. I think they're almost. They don't even want to think about that being an issue. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. He'll live. What? That's Harris.
Right. Pence Harris ticket 24. Yeah, that's funny.
I just don't. I don't get it. Unfortunately, I think my personal opinion, Richard, is that you guys got to find a way to you got to push him out. There's only one way to win this next election. I think you guys got to push him out, and I just don't think your party's going to do it. I don't think you guys are going to push him aside.
No, I'm a facts and statistics guy, right?
Right.
We know that 35% of the Republican Party supports him.
Right.
35% is hard to beat. When you've got 35 to 40% of it locked up before the game even starts,
right,
it's pretty tough unless he just bows out.
I just don't see him bowing out.
happening.
He's not a quitter.
And we know that's not happening, right?
Nope, that's not happening. And he's not getting convicted before. I mean, look, court cases don't go; they just don't happen.
See,
that
and
fast.
here's my thing. This is like the Georgia case, right? They want to try this next February.
It's not happening.
Any case in the history of American justice, any kind of court case that's been brought up like this has taken 3 to 4 years to get through.
Right.
But you're going to do it in 5 months?
They're still investigating Hunter. For Christ's sake, you know what I mean? That's been forever. You know what I mean? It's like
how come we can't talk about that? We're not allowed to talk about that, right? Remember, you got thrown off of Twitter if you talked about his laptop before that the last election, right?
So yeah. Let's end with that final point. The final point let's end with is the fact that I don't hear a lot of apologies for like a lot of things that you guys were right about. You guys were right about a lot of things, and I think that they just don't like the way you guys sound. I think they don't want to give you guys any positives. What does that say? What does it say?
He said Republicans will win office. It's just their turn. The dog will continue to wag. I think you mean
maybe
the tail wagging the dog.
Right. Why is that Pence Harris thing still up there?
Oops, pressed the wrong button. I think that's fucking hilarious, though.
Yeah, it is. I would like that to be the case. Only because I really, 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 you guys need to please just put a better candidate up, and I'm begging you, all you Crips, please put a better candidate up.
Yeah, I want them both to put a better candidate.
I want them both to put up a different candidate. Let's get a different field. Let's just clear the slate from who you currently have. I think what you're saying, Richard, is if Trump was out of the picture, it's between Vivek and Ron, right? DeSantis and Vivek. Right now,
I don't think Ramaswamy has a chance against Ron DeSantis if Trump's not in there.
It'll be DeSantis up. DeSantis will be the guys. What you're saying? Okay. So let's do a prediction on that. DeSantis, and who would be his VP? Who currently? Who do you think?
Nikki Haley.
Not bad. I like Nikki. I'd rather Nikki be a heartbeat away than Kamala.
See, I'm still of the belief that Nikki Haley does at some point need to be the president. I'd prefer her to be the first female president.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And then on the Democrat side, who do you think, the best candidate really should be? Let's get, if you were one of them, put yourself in their shoes for a second.
Man, they don't like Robert Kennedy Jr., but by God, does he well spoken?
His voice well spoken, but it doesn't sound good.
It's interesting.
It doesn't sound good. It's too hard to hear, man. He's too hard to listen to. And we, as much as we love people and we say that we're empathetic, that bothers the hell out of us, and we know it. That changes the ballgame. If he had a smooth voice, I think people would listen to him differently. He's just hard to listen to.
Yeah, But think about it. Like, if you wanted, in honest to God, if you wanted somebody that was as middle of the road as you could find, he's about as middle of the road as you can find.
Yeah, I at least can listen to him. I mean, as far as like what his points are, even though sometimes
I can tell you that I would cringe at Gavin Newsom.
Yeah,
I would cringe at Kamala Harris.
Right.
I mean, we're already bleeding profusely with Joe Biden.
Right. I would love to see Kennedy DeSantis. That would be. I would like that. I would like a Kennedy DeSantis. I would like that. A Kennedy
DeSantis.
Right. Kennedy versus DeSantis.
Not a DeSantis Kennedy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he meant versus is what he meant.
Versus.
Oh, versus.
Not a ticket, but versus.
No, I don't think the Democrat Party gets behind him. I think Ron would.
I'm just saying what I would like.
Yeah,
but that wouldn't happen.
I'm trying to think of a Democrat. I'm still trying to think of a Democrat I can get behind.
It's going to be Gavin Newsom.
Can't get behind any of them.
No, I'm not saying for you to get behind. Like, who do you think really? Like, who? If you were a Democrat, who would
you
get behind? If I was a Democrat, I would get behind Gavin Newsom. If I was a Democrat, I would definitely say Newsom. The dude is smooth.
I think he can win too. By the way,
he can win.
He's an attractive man. He's smooth, like you said. He's got the pedigree.
We forget how good attractiveness is. We forget that shit really works.
Yeah,
that works.
See him winning. Matter of fact, I used to actually like him before he bumped his head and turned stupid. I did, man. Like way back when he was first new. Like he said,
Gavin Newsom wins.
Great.
If Gavin Newsom would go up, he wins.
the problem with him is the problem I have with a lot of the politicians, man, is early on, I like them. They say some really interesting stuff. And then as they get further into the politics, they just get dumber and dumber. And the
He
stuff
might
that
get
they
smarter.
say is just crazy.
You know what, Trinity, though? As president, he might get smarter.
Maybe.
Look, he might get in the real game, and in the real game, he may play better than he did in California, man. He's in
Maybe.
California. You know, sometimes that
touche.
shit gets to your head a certain way. And just like Richard said about the swamp in Washington, maybe you need to be in the swamp to be the real swampish. Maybe you need to get in there and do it. Right now he's in California, so he looks very California, acts very California. Yeah, you want to sleep on the beach? Take over the beach, sleep on this $1 million property for free. I don't care.
Yeah, maybe.
But you know, anyway.
I just know long ago early in his career, he actually sounded like he had some sense, and then it just like went away.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're a long way away, but we're going to do a lot of talking about this. Richard, hopefully on one of these shows, we'll get somebody on the Crip side to be here, so we can kind of really get an idea of what
once again, if you're listening to this, man, we need one from the right and one from the left.
Please,
I mean, obviously he's a representative from the right, but if you're also from the right and you want to speak up, we have, reach out to us. But if you're on the left specifically, reach out, man. We want one from both, because him and I are in the middle, man, so we can't really accurately represent either side.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, and I mean, this is all virtual, so there's no chance that violence is going to occur.
Right. I can't promise that. No, I can't. I got friends everywhere, Richard. I'm kidding. Anyway, look, I appreciate you, Richard, for taking your time out. I know that you're with your son at baseball. By the way, how's your son doing at baseball? He's good. What position does he play?
Well, both my boys. I've got a 12-year-old. Abraham's he just turned 8 yesterday, but he's done running the house. I'm sitting outside the house, but he's done running the house for dinner. But both of them are catchers. Both of them are pitchers. Abraham plays shortstop. RC plays first. I mean, they're utility players, and they've been playing for a good clip now. And
beautiful.
Just something to enjoy, something to do as a family.
Favorite team? Favorite professional team?
The RC's favorite team is the Atlanta Braves, and Abraham's favorite team is the Indigenous people of Cleveland.
Oh God, that's funny.
I love neither team do I like. No, Phillies, man. My Phillies are doing good. You see that?
I don't like baseball, so I can't
baseball's
participate.
a good sport. Great sport. Anyway, thank you, Richard Coleman, for your time. Look, that's Richard Coleman, North Carolina. He actually went to school with the Dharma guy back in high school here in Orlando area. So
he ran for office last year.
Ran for office last year. I wish you would have won, Richard.
We're doing it again. In fact, we're getting ready to kick off the campaign here in 2 weeks at the county fair.
You got to lose some to win some. You got to lose some to win. That's exactly how you got.
I mean,
look at Biden. Biden lost how many before he won?
It only took him 40 years.
I was going to say he's been in Washington for 37 years.
Yeah.
He's been there since he's been okay. Just so we know how old Biden is, right? Because he continues to get lost on a daily basis, walking off stages. But he's been in Washington since he was 29 years old.
That's crazy.
And for some reason, went in there with only a certain amount of money, and now he's a super multi-millionaire.
He's been in there as a congressman. His average wages as a congressman for the last 45 years has been around $175,000, and I think he's worth like $600 million. But let's not look at the math. No, he's not really worth that much. But I mean, I'm not really sure what the big guy's worth. I mean, Joe Biden. Sorry.
Oh wow! All right.
So we'll do this again. There'll be more debates. There'll be a Democrat. Hopefully, there's a Democratic debate. Do they still do that, even though they got a guy in the House? Do they still try to fight for position?
I think so.
I don't know. Biden's already Biden has already gone on the record as to saying that he will not debate because he already considers himself the nominee.
But he still has to earn the nomination, right? They don't just automatically give it to him, right?
No, he's got to go through a primary. Yeah, he's being primaried by 2 other candidates.
That's what I mean. So do they still have a debate on that side then? Will we still see a stage of Democrats?
I doubt if Biden's – there's only 2 – currently there's only 2 other Democrat candidates. I don't think they'll qualify to get on the stage, and Biden said he won't be there, so what's the point?
Who are the other 2?
Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the female's name off the top of my head.
Has Gavin put his name in the ring yet?
No.
Gavin won't do it until Biden backs out.
That's right.
Gavin won't compete against Biden.
He's running ads over here in Florida.
So. Dude, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. Well, we all know he's running for president.
they're doing some impromptu stuff for him in case something happens to Biden. He will obviously be the man that steps into that role. But if Biden is currently healthy and running, Newsom won't put his name in the hat. But you can guarantee in the next election cycle he will.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, thank you very much, Richard. Dharma guy, you got any final words?
No, not really. Not really. I'm just from the political standpoint, man. It's a wait and see game at this point. It's so early. Like, I think most of the people who right now are talking. I think most of them are cannon fodder.
Right.
I think as we get further on is when people really start to kind of distinguish themselves from the rest, and I think that's when it gets interesting.
All right. Let me see you both do your best Trump impression on his mugshot. Let me see your best mugshot impression. Let me see it. Come on, Richard. What's your best mugshot impression?
I got nothing. there.
Come on.
Yeah, he's got the. He's trying to mean mug
that mean mug.
Yeah, let me see it. That would be it. Let me see yours, Trinity. Do yours, Trinity.
That's all he's got, man. That's going to be on shirts everywhere, just so you know.
Oh,
Richard,
are you kidding me? There was
Richard
a
already
local
has it on
radio
his shirt, I'm
station.
sure.
There was a local radio station this morning that was already talking about how they put those mugshot T-shirts up for sale yesterday, and they've already sold out.
I'm sure. That's going to be everywhere.
Trump should have trademarked that shit real quick.
You don't think he's going to do some
He's
sort of
gonna
way?
try.
He will.
He can't. It's not his property. Anyway, all right. Appreciate all of us.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
man.
brother. Thank you. Appreciate you. From all of us here on We the Middle and Dope and Dharma. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Bye.